Hello and welcome to Diverse and Inclusive Leaders. This is the show where I speak with the most inspirational and thought-provoking leaders of today and unearth their unique stories of diversity and inclusion to help inspire, educate and motivate others to make the world a better place. Today, as a very, very special podcast in celebration of National Mentoring Month, I have one of my favourite people, frankly. His name is Herman Stewart, and he is the CEO of Every Child Needs a Mentor. He is a leading specialist when it comes to mentoring, and his mission is to enable every child in the UK and worldwide to access high quality mentoring that will really equip young people with the necessary skills in life as they go throughout their careers. We're going to be hearing a huge amount today from Herman, not only about his personal career path, which I can tell you is very, very interesting and colourful itself, but also all about why each and every one of us can be looking very hard at mentoring as a strategic priority to get us where we need to be when it comes to our careers and our organizations. Welcome to the show, Herman.
Oh, wow, Leila, come on now. That kind of intro, that was so articulate and, you're just lining me up. Yeah, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so grateful to be on the podcast and just, thank you for the kind words as well. It's always great to talk, always great to connect. We always go off piece, but I'm really glad that we're going to be capturing this moment and us just really connecting around mentoring and our passion, so forth.
I got so excited that I ripped my microphone out, Herman.
It's a good sign.
I'm leaving that one in.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. From one podcaster to the next, these things happen. We just have to, the show has to keep going in it. So yeah, good.
Absolutely. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I know you say what an introduction and you're, as usual, very modest and have a huge amount of humility every time I speak to you about what it is that you've achieved. But, I wonder for those of us who don't know you as well as I do and have had the pleasure to get to know you, obviously, in depth, I wonder whether you could tell our listeners a little bit about your journey or finding your path, as the title of your podcast is. How did you come to be where you are today?
Wow, it's a really eclectic journey, as you said, very interesting, very colourful. I mean, when I was starting out, I wanted to be a footballer, so I was very privileged to end up playing for Great Britain Schoolboys. Played with alongside Paul Scholes in the under-15 teams. I mean, for those that know, Paul Scholes is like a legend, ex-Man U player, and we was in the same squad when I was 15, and that's what I wanted to do. But then, I feel like I just lost my focus because, being young, interested in life and different things and got injured as well. And that kind of just changed my aspiration. And then I became a recording artist. So I was a part of a group. We was the first group in Birmingham, from where my locality, to release a long play. That was when things were called LPs. It's way before MP3s and downloads, and very fortunate to open up for some of the biggest artists in the world at that time, artists like Busta Rhymes, Wu-Tang Clan, been on Westwood's Radio 1 radio show, been on MTV, been very fortunate to go to New York and go in the offices of Motown. It's been, for me, I've really seen so many different things, been very privileged to really advance in my career and being around some of the biggest artists in the world and so forth. And I just really had a life-changing moment. When I had my first daughter, it was like a bombshell. It's a positive bombshell, but it was like, I just really realized I need to get a sensible job. It was like, okay, I've always been a dream. I'm always chasing an aspiration. Music, football, two of the most difficult industries to be successful in. And I've been successful in both, and for me then, it was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, because from I was 7, I was playing football. But at that point in my life, I discovered counseling. It's like really weird. It sounds like, how did you go from there to there? But I discovered counseling and discovered I was passionate about doing counseling. And then from studying counseling and going through all that stuff. And what was very powerful about studying counseling is my lecturer said, one of the first people that you need to counsel is yourself, and it's like, whoa. So it was like heart on my sleeve, going through the process and going through certain aspects of my life, which was very interesting. And then I discovered mentoring. It's very funny. It's the people that you meet in life. So when you say about your path, it is true. And on my path, I've had great people that have been there to support me, and great people that have just said things along the way. And I had someone said, you'd be good at mentoring. So then I went and studied mentoring. And then that's when everything started, you know what I mean? And just really engaging young people, being very successful at transforming young lives, and see the power of mentoring and the power of being able to see young people turn around from being able to just give them time and give them your heart. So yeah, that brings me to the world of mentoring, and then, all of it. I'm sure we'll talk about more of it as we go on.
Herman, it is just such an epic story. I really love hip hop and Busta Rhymes, and I'm so tempted to be like, come on, please, Herman, would you give us some lines and do a bit later for us? That is just brilliant. And whilst I know we shouldn't stereotype at all, because obviously you and I are in the world of diversity, inclusion, belonging, equity, and everything like that. What a dream. I mean, that is like, talk about a cool kid, in early days, footballer into hip hop, sharing a stage with Busta Rhymes. That is just so, that is so cool. That is so cool. What a way to start out. And, I think, interestingly, I'm sure those diversities of experience and, the rich and eclectic people that you've met along the way have all had, a bit of an impact into, where you find yourself, obviously, today at the helm of an organization that is all about giving back and all about, really influencing, the youth and the future leaders ultimately. And, just dipping into a piece that you mentioned there, if you don't mind me asking, you mentioned counselling. I think, this is something we absolutely, in particular on Mentoring Month, should be talking more about, eliminating the taboo. I see a counsellor to this day. I really think that it is something that people should do and speak about more, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, it is a positive. I wonder, was there a point that you were at in your career, or maybe in your younger years, perhaps, that you almost, I don't know, you kind of did you run into challenges? Did you run into kind of trouble almost, or think, hey, I'm going in the wrong direction here? And it was, almost spun round by that, meeting with the counsellor, meeting with the, the light bulb moment that was, hey, I can do something with this mentoring piece here. Or if I had that when I was younger, I would have been different.
Yeah, I mean, to tell the truth, and it's very good that you've brought this up, because when I was speaking about, you say it's very cool and the story is very cool, and it's true, but at the same time, where I was brought up, I brought up in a place called Handsworth in Birmingham, and back in the 90s, people would have known of Handsworth. It was a very serious place. There was a lot of gang and warfare. There was a lot of fatalities. Handsworth is a little place in Birmingham, and it was, I think one of the climaxes was that when it ended up on the 10 o'clock news at 10, and there's a lot of serious things that have happened, and there's a lot of things that I've seen. I've had friends that have passed away. Some have been murdered, some have been, they've died from different causes. Do you know what I mean? So in a sense, growing up, I've always had the challenges around me, coming from a family, and at times it was difficult, I had a single parent. It's just my mother brought us up, knew my dad, but they broke up when I was quite young, and that kind of impacted me anyway. And just at times having low self-esteem as a young person. And I think that it's through me doing like a lot of writing. Writing has really helped me because, you know, when you're writing, it's like it's very introspective. You know, it's like if people write poetry, it's like they're rehearsing their inner world and they're thinking and they're being able to work through their thoughts. So that is what really helped me a lot. And even in the community, I never got involved in any of the gang groups or anything because I was like ghetto fabulous. I was, you know, I was cool like people. I knew most people from different sides. I knew everyone, you know, and we all knew each other before all of the gang warfare started. We were always young, playing football together and so forth. But I knew people as a baller, so they knew me as I was on my way to become a professional footballer, you know. So it's like I was being celebrated in the ends, as they would say. And then when I was a rapper, it was like people wanted to be my friends because they wanted me to either rap with them or they wanted to be my video or so forth. So in my growing up, I did see challenging things. When I did go to study counseling, it was like I was going through counseling, you know, and I made a commitment that when I went into the council to study counseling, that I wouldn't go in there as an artist. You know, it was like kind of like coming to America. I never told anyone of my identity really. I was like there and I just wanted to be a student because for a part of my life is everyone just knew me as an artist. And I was like at times struggling personally. And I was like, how come no one's really like asking me about how am I? You know, they're asking me about my work, or when you're on radio next time, or when's your next album coming out, or when's this or when's that. But people weren't saying, how are you as a person? How's things for yourself? So I would say that I did go through those different times. I did go through different challenges, especially when I had my daughter. I think it was like one of the greatest times in my life, but it was kind of a low as well. Do you know, it was a low in the sense of like I weren't where I felt I was going to be. I thought I would have been more successful by then. I thought that I would have made my millions by then. I thought I would have had the security that I needed to be able to provide for my child, and I didn't, you know, so it was kind of like a low. And at that time as well, I engaged with personal faith, and that helped me. And me really going through that transition, I really akin it to like a caterpillar going in a cocoon and coming out as a butterfly. And the other side of that was the butterflies, like the mentoring world and me growing and becoming connected with this is what is my passion.
Wow, Herman, what's really heartwarming about speaking to you is the way that you articulate with emotion and feeling and passion what it is that you do and how it's made you feel is so incredibly powerful. That caterpillar becoming a butterfly and ultimately finding your journey through not only some of the different challenges, and even, you know, you mentioned there in a very short nutshell so many different pieces of intersectionality, almost, you know, the single parent family, the being a you know, parent of a daughter who I'm sure, by the way, is incredibly proud of her father for what he does, amongst with, you know, the huge increase you know, ultimately in terms of social mobility from, you know, I don't want to say where you've come from to where you are now, but being candid about it, we all know there are more deprived areas obviously than there are
Yeah.
others in the world.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, thank you so much for sharing that, you know, just, you know, really powerfully articulated, really powerfully articulated. And I think, you know, when it comes to words, it definitely resonates with me a lot. You know, if I ever lie awake at night thinking or worrying about things, and I think, you know, in particular, given the current climate, a lot of us are feeling pretty anxious. You know, a lot of us are feeling
Yeah.
pretty anxious, feeling we could do with, you know, an arm around our shoulder, could do with maybe a mentor, could do with someone to help and guide and support us.
Yeah.
Is, you know, writing one's feelings down, or even just letting that stream of emotion come out into, you know, what could be creative wisdom in your case, or be hopefully useful writings that can then benefit others.
And I think what you're saying and why I feel that's why to me it's very important concerning mentoring, you know, in the sense of I believe that mentoring creates the equality of opportunity, because I'm not really shy about it. I've come from a challenging background. That's the reality. And I wouldn't say it's something that people should feel sorry for me about, because to tell the truth, it's been one of my greatest gifts, because it's in those environments and in those challenges that you develop resilience. People that think that you can go to a classroom or go online and do a lesson and that's how you study resilience, that is very secondhand. If you want to really study resilience, you have to have trials. You study resilience by going through things that come against you and you overcoming them. So a lot of times it's all about how you perceive these situations. And for me, I always had a dream. I had a dream in my heart from I was really young, before I even knew I was poor or knew that we never had much, or before I knew the ramifications of that reality. Because when you're growing up, you're all cool, white, black, Asian, we're all friends, we're all playing football, or we're riding on the bike. Back in the day, some people be riding on their choppers or riding on their grifters, or, we were all just from the same area and we was all just growing up. But then as we started to grow, then I started to see that there's some things that I never had that others had, or things that I wanted that others weren't necessarily giving me. But I always had a dream in my heart, and my dream first was to be a footballer. So I was traveling. I'm going to where I'm going to. Do you know what I mean? And I've got the gift, I've got the talent, and I was great at football. And then it turned to music. So then it's like the dream inside of me, the vision, it's always there, like this inner picture, like I'm traveling to get into this place. So that dream, so even the environments that I've been in have not really been anything that have stopped me from progressing. If anything, they've helped to propel me, because I have seen all these different life stories, and that has helped me to be able to understand people in a more effective way. So even though I can be in the boardroom that I'm in now, I can be speaking to like partners at multinational companies, or I could be with CEOs, or I can be, I've been privileged to go to Windsor Castle and be on the Queen's grounds and be around certain people. I still know who I am, and I still have my street smarts, and I still know how to deal with all types of people, because the reality of it is we're all very similar. We're more similar than different. And that's the reality. Challenges, my successes, my defeats, all of those things give me greater empathy and greater emotional intelligence to be able to connect with other people.
It's incredibly insightful, because I do truly believe that leaders, the best leaders, I should say, and the most inspirational leaders of the future will be leaders who lead with the heart. And I don't mean that to sound twee in any way. It's quite reflective in a way of what you're saying there, is the fact that emotional intelligence and emotional resilience as well, of course, it's something that cannot be replicated by any machine, by any kind of digital advancement, within this modern world. It really can't. Or I don't know, maybe one day Alexa can manage to get it down to a T, but right now it's not the case. It's something that cannot be replicated, and it's something that is not a physical thing. It's something that you feel it deep down inside. And I think when you feel those feelings of elation, or whatever it might be, that understanding, that empathy, that human understanding of other people, it makes a huge difference. It's they say it doesn't matter what you say or what you did or where you were or wherever in life, but people remember how you make them feel, and and they take that with them as an impact. So I do truly believe that the leader of the future will be heart and emotional intelligence led and centric. But Herman, talk to me, because I'm fascinated with the mentoring side as being a real strategic priority. Now, you in your life as your caterpillar, you've now become your fledgling, colourful, vibrant, and exciting. Your vibrant, confident butterfly are out in the world, owning it. Speaking to organizations, supporting the youth, marrying those two things up. Why does everyone need a mentor? Why is mentoring critical to the
Mm,
success of our future generations as a business priority. Because let's
yeah.
make no bones about it. You look at
Mm,
businesses' CSR initiatives these days, and it's nice to do nice things and it's right to do
mm,
the right thing. But at the same time,
mm.
it's a strategic business imperative. It's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
double win. It's a
Yes.
great for the wider society, and then it's a great for business.
And I feel it's really about really harnessing the power of mentoring, because when you're talking about mentoring, for the reality of it is, it's about people, and it doesn't matter whatever business you're in the people's business. You're in the people business, whether you're in accounting, whether you're in manufacturing, whether you're in AI, whether it doesn't matter whatever you're in, you're working with people. And the more effective you are at working with people, or discovering what makes their boat float, or discovering what sets their heart on fire, or how do you incentivize them, or how do you make them more productive or perform more effectively, that is all important, that you have great insight into people. And really, I feel a lot of people don't understand that if you utilize mentoring as a strategic objective, it impacts your D&I, impacts your CSR, impacts your learning and development, it impacts your emerging leaders, because leaders, like you said rightfully, around those of the future are going to be around their heart. It's true, and leaders that are very emotionally intelligent and very aware of how to get the best out of people are the type of leaders that people want to follow, because it doesn't matter if you've got the title of a leader, you're not a leader if no one's following. And if people are only following you based on your role, then they're not going to be going above and beyond, because they're just going to be going to their job spec. But for me, I really believe, it's like I got a saying, and it's around working with young people, is that if you win their hearts, they will listen to you. But if you win their minds, they will listen to you. But if you win their hearts, they will follow you. And the reality of it is that a lot of times you've got to get people to do what they don't want to do, so they can have what they do want to have. So the compact imperative of encouraging someone's conviction, get into their deep motivations of who is actually this person, is so important. So when we look at mentoring, it's about using mentoring as a strategic relationship development tool. So even if you get rid of the word mentoring and just think of it, this is a strategy to develop relationships. If you want to develop diverse relationships, if you're more effective at listening to people, or you're more effective at reading between the lines, you're more effective at understanding that there's something going on with that person, and that's why they're not performing. That is key. So when you start thinking about people being able to utilize mentoring to future proof their organizations, you're thinking about pipeline, you're thinking about future talent. And when we start talking about the generation at hand, the millennials and the Gen Zs and all the different gens exist, they are interested in organizations that have got purpose. If your organization lacks purpose, your organization lacks a desire to make a difference in society, you will be picked to the line by organizations that are congruent and authentically caring about the people they serve and their potential clients. So when you start speaking about mentoring, it's about utilizing mentorship as an attractive tool to your organization. Because I'll give you a quick example of that. There's an organization that we're working with at present, and we've trained some of their professionals to become mentors, and they're about to start mentoring in a school. We're managing the whole relationship. We've identified the school, and we've done all of that, and we've trained the people, and we're doing their DBS. We're doing everything to help support their development. The co-founders of that organization, they wanted to do mentoring, not just as a CSR obligation. They were adamant that it wouldn't just be that to them, they see that they're a growing organization there, and they've got big ambitions, and they recognize that their people have to grow as well, and they care for their people. That's why they're doing the program. So they're looking at mentoring as a leadership development tool. So it's not a CSR tool. It will impact CSR outcomes, but it's a leadership development tool. And I was speaking to the chief of staff recently, and what he said is the people that have been applying for their roles, in the interview process, a few of the people have been mentioning our partnership. They've been mentioning that you work with Every Chinese a Mentor. I'm glad to hear that, because that's the type of organization we want to work for. So that's like a quick example of the power of when you're doing the right thing, you're thinking of the future, thinking about mentoring, thinking about impacting young people, that people, they're very interested in that. And so that's where it becomes a strategic outcome or objective, because it's helping them with their recruitment.
Hey, Herman, on podcasts, I've been trying more to challenge mindsets and beliefs. And at risk of not doing that, I'm going to agree with everything. So I'm like literally agreeing with everything that you are saying, and it is true, because I can't actually think of anything that I would challenge when it comes to what you have just said. Ultimately, good leaders, good organizations realize that the people actually are their organization. They're not even just part of the organization, they are the organization. Yeah. You look at it in terms of strategy, which is, fascinating from what you said. It is, those people are the assets to that organization, for that organization. And future generations of leaders won't stand for organizations anymore. It's not how it was, even a decade ago. Now we've been through, more digital transformation than we ever have within the last, 6 months to a year. Everything even more so is all over social media. It's online. You can't hide from, what those within the organizations and those that work with the organizations really think. And it's much, much harder, I do believe, to cover lip service. And so, as you say, it is, it's that strategic development, people, future pipelining talent, investing in that, because the people that are, perhaps now at the top of organizations, a very, very, very different world to those who are entering the world of digital work, and not just aspiring to, but insisting upon organizations that truly believe, care, and invest in their future development and progression.
Yeah, and the reality of it is, the world has changed. The world has become much more social. Social media has made that happen. So, if you look at just the way that people communicate now socially, the way that even people market their products now socially, the way that people engage with influencers, it's really people centric. So if your organization is a building centric, or it's your brand centric, people sense that, they feel it. And it's what I really love about working with young people. And that's why I feel that mentoring is a very powerful experiential learning development experience, because if you can mentor young people, listen, if you can mentor a teenager and they've got they don't need to listen to you because you're their boss. They don't need to listen to you because of your role. A lot of them won't really care. It's, if you can get the best out of them, if you can help them to navigate their path, if you can get them to set goals and achieve them, if you can hold them accountable, if you can utilize those skills, you can utilize those skills with adults. And that's why it's a powerful tool, because when I work with young people, I mean, more now, I'm the mentors, I mentor mentors, but young people are very authentic. They're not politically correct. They're honest. If they don't like you, if they don't feel that you're being authentic and sincere, they know. So the reason I've given you that example is because I feel society's like that now. I feel businesses like that. Like, the needs that exist now are even greater, especially with COVID, with mental health, with well-being, the impact of employees and what's going on in their homes, their children being impacted by schools, and your staff have got much more needs to be able to be connected to humanity. So when we start looking at mentoring with a strategic objective, it's making sure, a lot of people in isolation now. So there's a lack of community that used to exist, where a lot of people will be in an office and they would have that kind of camaraderie and that kind of rapport with people. Now more people are at home, so it's like there's a different need that people have. So when you start saying there needs to be a greater sense of well-being or a feel-good factor, if you've got your staff and they become a part of a mentoring program and they mentor young people, they're getting something back. They're getting that, that ready break feeling, when the ready break man like glowing and is, it's like that feeling of they feel they're doing something. So it's you're taking care. If you're taking care of your people, you're taking care of your profit, you're taking care of your planet, you're taking care of the people that can become a part of your organization in the future, because it's also brand awareness. So it's so strategic. It's even better than a lot of marketing that people would do, because if you're being marketed for improving young lives, people that don't really care about your products, they care about young lives. They care about the fact that something's being done to improve young people. So that can be like something that could draw them to you, because it's that example with this organization that we've been working with. They're a data organization. They do data for big financial services, and they are really, they're flying, and their employees, they're very bright. Some of them are studied in Berkeley, some of them are studied in UCLA. They're very bright, and they want them to be well-rounded. But a lot of people are not interested necessarily in data unless it's data on your phone. I'm running out of data, I've got 10 gig. But because of their mentoring young people, when I'm putting out posts on LinkedIn or so forth, lots of people are like following it because they're like, that's a great thing to do. So there's so many different aspects why it's beneficial.
Herman, wow. I want to make sure that we squeeze in a couple of little lightning round questions before we close off today.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And hopefully also make our wait and see ... special announcement kind of situation. But I got to ask, and again, I'm finding myself saying, I agree. I think there has never been a better time than now for organizations and for people really to step up to the plate, because this is the society in which everything you do is watched. We can tell. There's no, as you said with the kids, there's no pulling the cotton wool over their eyes these days. There's more smart, more tech, digital savvy than ever before. But I got to ask, I'm got to squeeze in two of these lightning round questions, Herman, because I'm also really curious myself to know. But I wonder, hardest one first. What's your secret to success?
That's a big question, though. And I think that it's quite easy now for me, because I've been on this long path of discovery and journey. And I feel the secret to my success has been my personal faith. That's been a big part. But it's been me accepting me embracing who I am, my flaws, my successes, my positive attributes, my negative attributes, my ethnicity, the context of the world, and sometimes it might not be fair or whatever. Just accepting all of it and embracing it and recognizing that I am me for a purpose. And there's only one me. There will never be another me. And I need to maximize my time that I've got on this planet, that I leave it a better place than how I found it when I came. So for me, I feel success has been that I have seen that I am Herman. I'm Herman Stewart. This is me. There was times when I was young, and I share this, I share this here and there. When I was young, I couldn't stand my name. I was like, I don't want to be Herman. I wanted to be John, or wanted to be Peter, or Simon, or, like the common names that everyone is aware of. There's nothing wrong with those names. It's just, I wanted to be those names, and I was Herman, and I was getting, people say Herman the German, and I would get teased when I was young, and I didn't want the name. But the more that I grew up, and the more that when people mentioned my name, you know, when I was like doing football, when I was doing rapping, like they knew it was me. Like there's only one me in a sense of in my generation or my locality, or so people know me, and I've really grown to just love the name, you know. But that's been a journey, so that's why I said it like now it's a bit easier for me to answer that question, because through my journey, there's a lot of time when I had low self-esteem, or, you know, I never felt good about a lot of things, or I looked at things in a negative way that compounded negative feelings on the inside, you know, or even negative thoughts, or my mental health weren't that great because I weren't processing things in a way that was productive or fruitful for myself. But as I've grown and I've started to see like my weaknesses and my flaws, and me, when I start to mentor, what has made me very, very successful at mentoring is because I know that everyone has got issues. Like I've got issues. Everyone, it don't matter. I don't care if you're a CEO or CIO or COO. I don't care if you're, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be an A-lister in Hollywood. You have got some kind of issues that you're trying to work through, whether it's your issues as a father, as a mother, as a husband, as a wife, as a partner, as a son, working through your background, working through your backstory. You've got something that has impacted you when you was young, and you're still probably trying to work through it now. And I realized, because I've got them, I realize we all must have them. So when I mentor with that kind of vulnerability and transparency to say, it's not just you going through that. We all are going through it. You know, I'm a father now, father of 3 daughters. My first daughter that I talked about at the start, she's 20 now. She's studying to become a corporate barrister. That's her aspiration. And I'm still trying to work out being a good parent. You know, I'm trying to work out how do I be attentive to my children's needs, that they are not overlooked, while I'm here trying to work towards saving and encouraging the generation of young people that exist, that my children should be overlooked. And I'm trying to work through those balances. So I feel my successes, my secret to it has been that I've been honest and authentic, I would say, and I'm transparent, and I'm an open book here.
There is only one Herman. and finally, very last question, I promise, is if you could go back in time and give the young Herman any advice, or indeed someone who's going through a challenging situation, you know, maybe they don't know what to do yet in life, or they're in with the wrong crowd, what would you say? And also, why should people stay tuned into news that's coming next?
Okay, wow. What I would say to the younger me is it's so important to be a friend to yourself. Love yourself. You know, be kind to yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Life's hard enough. I would just really speak to say, the reason I say that is because I know the voice that's been in my head from I've been young has usually been critical, and it's been challenging, or it's not been encouraging all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether that's default, whether that's how I felt about things, whether that's the environment I was brought up, I don't know. Whether that's just a part of my personality, I don't know. But I know a lot of the things I've said haven't been friendly to myself. Do you know? So I would say, but I'm in this place now that I am. Do you know what I mean? And through my journey, I've accepted and embraced and enjoyed and so forth. So I would say, you know, be a friend to yourself, encourage yourself, don't be too hard on yourself, give yourself the room to make mistakes, and everything's going to be all right. You know, just stay on the path. So that's what I would say to myself. And the second question, you say, you know, why people should stay tuned, because we have got a real big announcement that is going to be coming out soon with, you know, Every Chinese a Mentor and Dia Global. And it's a game changer. It's a real game changer. It's something that's really going to make a massive contribution towards society. And it's going to really be something that's going to impact many lives. and it's going to be very inspirational. And I'm so excited about it. I mean, Leila, on a real, I am currently, when I come off the podcast, I am working on the details and all that kind of stuff as we're talking. So I'll be pinging you over something soon anyway. But we are about to really do something very special. So keep watching this space.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited. And Herman, first of all, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been a joy. It always is a joy. I'm so pleased that I met you, generally speaking, in life. I'm so excited about our partnership. I think great things are going to happen. So I reiterate what you said, Herman, and watch this space, ... And what I will say as well, because I always do a very brief summary, of course, this is a very special podcast for National Mentoring Month. It's been an honor having you on the show, Herman. Some of the key real learning pieces for me have been, well, there's been many, so I'll pick a couple here, is I just love the piece about resilience and almost really challenging and changing this mindset. The great thing about you, Herman, is you never see yourself as a victim, even though you've been through these challenging circumstances. You take those circumstances, you turn them on their head, and you make sure that you master that resilient mindset. And I think that's been almost like the interweaving thread throughout the podcast, which is, obviously for National Mentoring Month, is taking responsibility, being resilient, responsibility for your life. You are in charge of your own destiny. Some of us are born with more challenging circumstances, and it's important that you seek the help and guidance. There's no shame in that. Actually, it's a massive benefit. However, you are in charge of your own destiny. Whether you're an individual later on in your career, the time is now. Whether you are, growing up as a, up in the early stages of your career, the time now is to really take control and expand yourself. But I always feel positive when I speak to you, Herman. It's kind of like that, when life knocks you down situation, don't blame the world. We all have hard times. We want to share those. You want to be vulnerable, but roll with life, roll with the punches, use every blow as a fuel for the fire, that almost makes everything stronger. I won't repeat all the pieces around mentoring strategic priority, but I will say this is there are literally no bad things through anything to do with mentoring as a strategic priority. I think the learnings are, they're inch deep and they're mile wide. They are absolutely, broad as you possibly can get, because it's applicable to every single level. In particular, as we see, CSR, D&I initiatives and purpose-driven organisations really drive to the forefront. So, Herman, thank you again for joining. I encourage you all to check out Every Child Needs a Mentor, to stay tuned to some exciting news that will be coming your way soon by way of partnership. If you want to check out the show notes and obviously listen in on Apple or Spotify, please do so. Visit us at www.dialglobal.org/podcast, or you can visit Every Child Needs a Mentor as well, and we'll put all of the details into the show notes at the end of today's show. My name is Leila Mackenzie Dallas. You've been listening to the Diverse and Inclusive Leaders podcast show with Herman Stewart. Every child needs a mentor. Every person needs a mentor. We can't wait to see you again soon. But in the meanwhile, stay safe and catch you again very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching the Diverse and Inclusive Leaders podcast. Please do feel free to hit the like button below, or if you'd like to receive future notifications, do ping the notification bell here at the side. If you're interested in the audio version only, you can find it on the following streaming platforms. Any extra info and descriptions will be in the links below. Look forward to seeing you soon.